My husband yelled, "How dare you say no to my mother, you stupid bitch," at his grandmother's birthday party. Then he grabbed a dinner plate and smashed it over my head. The ceramic shattered, cutting my scalp, blood trickling down my face, all because I refused to sign my apartment over to his mother, or pay her $2,000 a month. 30 family members stood frozen, staring at me. I touched the blood on my head, looked at my husband with completely calm eyes, and said quietly, "You have no idea what I can do." Everyone in that room went pale, because something in my voice told them this wasn't a threat. It was a promise, and I'd been preparing for this moment for months. Before we continue, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear my story. If you're comfortable, let me know where you're listening from, and what time it is where you are. Now let me tell you my story. My name is Elena Vasquez, and I am 35 years old. I'm a senior technology consultant for a major firm in Seattle, specializing in digital transformation and cybersecurity. I make $180,000 a year. I own a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment in Capitol Hill that I purchased 5 years ago for $600,000, which is now worth over $800,000. I drive a paid-off Tesla. I have excellent credit, substantial savings, and a retirement account that's well-funded. I worked my ass off to get here. I grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Tacoma. My parents were immigrants, my mother from Mexico, my father from El Salvador. They worked multiple jobs to give me and my siblings opportunities they never had. I got scholarships, worked through college, graduated with a degree in computer science, and climbed the corporate ladder through sheer determination and 80-hour work weeks. By the time I was 30, I'd saved enough for a down payment on my apartment. Buying that place was the proudest moment of my life. It was mine, proof that I'd made it, that all the sacrifice had been worth it. I remember the day I got the keys. I stood in the empty apartment, looking out at the Seattle skyline, and I cried. My mother had cleaned houses to put me through school. My father had worked construction until his body gave out. And here I was, owner of a beautiful apartment in one of the most expensive cities in America. That apartment represented everything. Every late night studying. Every time I was the only woman in a room full of male engineers. Every time someone assumed I was the secretary instead of the developer. Every battle I'd fought to prove I belonged. That apartment was my fortress. My sanctuary. My proof that I could do anything. 3 years ago, I met Marcus Patterson at a friend's wedding. He was charming, funny, kind, or so I thought. He was a high school history teacher, making about $65,000 a year. The income difference didn't matter to me. I wasn't looking for someone to support me financially. I was looking for a partner, an equal, someone who respected me. Marcus seemed perfect. He said all the right things about supporting my career, about being proud of my success, about wanting a partnership of equals. "I love that you're so accomplished," he'd say. "It's sexy. You're brilliant and successful, and you don't need anyone. You choose to be with me. That means everything." I fell for it. All of it. We dated for a year, got engaged, and planned to marry. That's when I met his mother, Ruth. Ruth Patterson was 62, had been divorced from Marcus's father since Marcus was 10, and had raised Marcus as a single mother. She'd worked various administrative jobs over the years, but had a pattern of getting fired or quitting due to personality conflicts with coworkers and supervisors. From our first meeting, Ruth made it clear she didn't approve of me. "So you're the one who makes all the money?" she said at our first dinner together, her tone making it sound like an accusation. "I do well in my field," I replied carefully. "And Marcus is just a teacher. You must think you're so much better than him." "Not at all. I think teaching is incredibly important work. But you make 3 times what he makes. That must be awkward." Marcus laughed nervously. "Mom, it's not a competition." "Of course not, honey. I'm just saying, in a marriage there should be balance. This seems unbalanced." It was the first of many red flags I chose to ignore because I loved Marcus. Before the wedding, I insisted on a prenuptial agreement. Given my assets and the income disparity, it made sense to protect what I'd worked so hard to build. My lawyer drew up a straightforward prenup. Assets owned before marriage would remain separate property. Income earned during marriage would be considered marital property. But my apartment, my retirement accounts, and my savings would stay mine in the event of divorce. Marcus signed it without much fuss. "I get it," he said. "You built all this before me. It's yours." But Ruth was furious. "A prenup?" she'd shrieked when she found out. "You don't trust my son? You think he's going to take your precious money? It's not about trust, I explained. It's about protecting assets I accumulated before the relationship. It's insulting. A wife should share everything with her husband. This just proves you think you're better than him. Mom, it's fine, Marcus said. I signed it willingly. Because she pressured you. She trapped you. My son deserves half of everything. That should have been my sign to run. But I loved Marcus, and I convinced myself that his mother's opinion didn't matter. We got married. Marcus moved into my apartment. I never asked him to pay rent. It was our home. After all, he contributed what he could to groceries and utilities, and I covered the mortgage, HOA fees, and most other expenses. It never bothered me. We were partners. But Ruth never let it go. Every family gathering she'd make comments. Must be nice, Marcus. Living in your wife's apartment rent-free. Elena, so generous of you to let Marcus live in your place. I hope you appreciate what a good deal you got, son. Not having to pay for housing. She said it to embarrass him, to make him feel like less of a man, to create resentment between us. And slowly, it worked. About 6 months into our marriage, Marcus started making comments. You know, it would be nice if you consulted me about decorating decisions. It's my home too. Sure, absolutely. What would you like to change? I'm just saying you make all the decisions because it's your apartment. Marcus, I ask your opinion on everything. But at the end of the day, it's your name on the deed. I'm just living here. That was Ruth's voice coming through his mouth. Things got worse about a year ago when Ruth lost her job. Again. This time she claimed it was age discrimination, but Marcus's aunt later told me Ruth had been fired for repeatedly being insubordinate to her supervisor. Ruth was burning through her savings quickly. She'd never been good with money spent on clothes, dinners out, things she couldn't afford. Within 6 months she was facing eviction from her apartment. Instead of getting another job, Ruth decided Marcus should support her. I raised you alone, she told him during one of her crying phone calls that I could hear from the next room. Your father abandoned us. I sacrificed everything for you. Now I need help, and you're going to abandon me too. Marcus was eaten up with guilt. Mom, I'll help however I can. And help he did. Or rather help I did. Since Marcus didn't have the money. It started small. Mom needs help with her electric bill. Just $200. I paid it. Family helps family, right? Then, Mom's short on rent. Can we loan her $1,200? I paid it. With the understanding it was a loan. Then, Mom's car broke down. She needs $800 for repairs. I paid it. Then it was dental work. Then it was new glasses. Then it was her phone bill. Then it was groceries. Then it was her credit card payment. Ruth never paid back a single dollar. Never even said thank you. Instead, she'd say things like, well, it's the least you can do since you stole my son, and make him feel inadequate every day. After 6 months of this, I'd given Ruth over $8,000. And her financial situation wasn't improving because she still refused to get a job. I'm 62 years old, she'd say. Who's going to hire me? I deserve to retire. I worked hard my whole life. She wasn't retirement age. She had no retirement savings, and she certainly hadn't worked hard enough to plan for her future. I started keeping meticulous records. Every dollar I gave Ruth, I documented the date, the amount, what it was for, and any promise she made to pay it back. I kept text messages, emails, everything. I didn't know why I was doing it at the time, just instinct. A feeling that someday I might need evidence. 3 months ago, Ruth came to us with a new solution. We were having dinner at our apartment, a dinner I'd cooked after working a 10-hour day, when Ruth announced, I've been thinking, the solution to my housing problem is simple. I should just move in here. I nearly dropped my fork. What? You have 2 bedrooms, plenty of space. I'll take the second bedroom. Ruth, that's my office. I work from home 3 days a week. I need that space. You can work at the dining table. I have video calls with clients, sensitive company information. I need a dedicated private workspace. Or you could go into the office those days. The point is, there's room for me here. I looked at Marcus, waiting for him to shut this down. He was staring at his plate. Mom, you don't think what, that your mother deserves a place to live? I'm facing homelessness, Marcus. Homelessness. And you have this huge apartment. It's not huge, I interjected. It's 1,100 square feet. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. There's no room for another person to live here long term. There's plenty of room. You just don't want me here. You're right, I don't. This is my home. I worked very hard for it. The answer is no. Ruth's face went red. How dare you? This is my son's home too. And he's welcome here. You're not moving in. Marcus. Ruth turned to him, tears starting. Are you going to let her talk to me like this? Are you going to choose her over your own mother? Marcus looked miserable. Mom, Elena's right. It's her apartment. She makes the rules about who lives here. Her apartment? Her apartment? You're married. It should be our apartment. But no. She made you sign that prenup, made sure you'd never have any claim to anything. She trapped you. She's probably planning to divorce you and throw you out on the street. That's ridiculous. I started.
Is it?
You've kept everything in your name. You hold all the power. My son has nothing, he's completely at your mercy. What kind of wife does that? I stood up. The kind of wife who worked her way up from nothing, while your son chose a noble but lower-paying career. I'm not going to apologize for being successful, and I'm not going to let you move in. This conversation is over. Ruth, you need to leave. Ruth stood too, grabbing her purse. Fine, fine, I'll be on the streets then, homeless. And it'll be on your conscience, Elena, when I'm sleeping in my car, starving, dying in the cold. It'll be because of you, because you chose your precious apartment over your husband's mother. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. Marcus turned to me. Did you have to be so harsh? Harsh? Marcus, she wanted to move into my office. She wanted to disrupt my work, invade our privacy and live here indefinitely. She's desperate. Elena, she's manipulative, and she needs to get a job like every other person who needs money. She's not disabled. She's not elderly. She's 62 and perfectly capable of working. Not everyone can just bounce back like you do. Not everyone is as strong as you. Strength has nothing to do with it. It's about taking responsibility for yourself. We fought about it for days. But I held firm. Ruth was not moving into my apartment. I also started sleeping with my phone's voice recorder running. I don't know what made me do it. Just a feeling that things were escalating, that I needed to protect myself. 2 weeks later, I came home to find Marcus sitting at the dining table with papers spread out in front of him. What's this? I asked. Mom got a lawyer. A lawyer? For what? He slid a letter across to me. It was from a bottom-tier attorney, poorly written, but the demand was clear. Elena Vasquez was to either 1. Transfer full ownership of her apartment located at Arrest to Ruth Patterson within 30 days, or 2. Pay Ruth Patterson $2,000 per month in family support indefinitely, beginning immediately. The letter cited familial obligation, marital duty, and moral responsibility. I read it twice. Sure, I was misunderstanding. Is this a joke? She's serious, Elena. She thinks because we're married, and you have assets, that you should support her. This is insane. And completely illegal. I'm not married to Ruth. I have no legal obligation to support her whatsoever. She says you're alienating me from my family, that you're financially abusive to me by holding the apartment over my head, that you're causing her emotional distress and hardship. I've never held anything over your head, and her emotional distress is not my legal problem. I know, I told her this was ridiculous, but she's really struggling. Then she needs to get a job. Marcus, like every other adult on the planet. She says no one will hire her because of her age. That's bull. There are plenty of people in their 60s who work. She just doesn't want to. She wants to be supported by us, by Emmy, for the rest of her life. We fought about it for hours. I made it clear I would not be signing over my apartment, and I would not be paying Ruth $2,000 a month. End of discussion. Marcus dropped it. But I could tell he was resentful. The seed his mother had planted, that I was selfish, that I held my assets over him, that I thought I was better than him, was growing into something ugly. I made copies of Ruth's legal letter. I saved it in multiple locations. I forwarded it to my lawyer with a note, FYI, this is happening, may need help soon. My lawyer, Victoria Chen, called me immediately. Elena, this letter is laughable from a legal standpoint. She has no case, but it's concerning that she's escalating to legal threats. Document everything. If she or Marcus pressures you about this, record it. Save every text, every email, every conversation. I am. Good. And Elena? Start thinking about your exit strategy, just in case. Exit strategy. Divorce. If this relationship is becoming toxic, if you're being pressured about your assets, you need to be prepared to leave. I didn't want to think about divorce. But Victoria was right. I needed to be prepared. That week, I had Victoria draw up divorce papers. She prepared them, left the filing date blank, and gave me a copy. "Keep these somewhere safe," she said. "Not at home, maybe at your office. If things escalate, you can file immediately." I kept them in my office desk, hidden, waiting. Last week, Marcus's family announced a big party for his grandmother's 80th birthday. His grandmother Dorothy was a sweet woman I genuinely liked. The party was being held at Marcus's aunt's house, and the whole extended family would be there, about 30 people. I didn't want to go. I could feel something bad brewing. Ruth had been spreading her version of events to the family. I'd started getting cold looks and pointed comments from Marcus's aunts and cousins at recent gatherings. "Elena, I heard Ruth's having a hard time. It must be difficult for you to see her struggle when you have so much. I heard you won't help Ruth. That seems harsh for family. Family is supposed to take care of family, you know." They were getting Ruth's side of the story. Poor, struggling single mother being turned away by her selfish rich daughter-in-law. They didn't know about the $8,000 I'd already given her. They didn't know about her pattern of getting fired from jobs. They didn't know she refused to work. They only knew what Ruth told them. "I don't want to go to this party," I told Marcus. "It's my grandmother's 80th birthday. We have to go. Your family hates me right now because of your mother's lies." "They don't hate you. And they're not lies. Mom is struggling because she refuses to work. She's 62. That's practically retirement age." "No, it's not. Retirement age is 67 for her generation, and even then she has no retirement savings. She made poor financial decisions her whole life, and now she expects me to fund her lifestyle. That's not my responsibility. She's my mother, and I'm your wife. Why are you more concerned about her feelings than mine?" We went back and forth, but ultimately I agreed to go. For Dorothy. Not for Ruth, not for the family that was judging me without knowing the full story. But I prepared. I charged my phone fully. I set it to record video and audio. I put it in my jacket pocket. Lens pointing out. Microphone unobstructed. I'd been recording conversations with Ruth and Marcus for weeks now, but this felt different. Bigger. Like a confrontation was inevitable. I also dressed strategically. I wore a jacket with deep pockets where my phone would be secure and recording. I wore comfortable shoes in case I needed to leave quickly. I brought my own car instead of riding with Marcus, telling him I had a work call I might need to take and would meet him there. He thought I was being paranoid. He was wrong. I was being prepared. The party was yesterday. I arrived at Marcus's Aunt Linda's house at 2 p.m., parking on the street so I wouldn't be blocked in. The place was decorated nicely. Food spread out on tables. Family members mingling. Dorothy greeted me with a warm hug. "Elena, so good to see you, dear. You look lovely." "Happy birthday, Dorothy." "Thank you, sweetheart. You know, I'm so proud of you. Marcus tells me about your work. It sounds fascinating. I wish I'd had opportunities like that when I was young. At least one person in this family appreciated me." But then I saw Ruth. She was holding court in the living room, surrounded by Marcus's aunts and cousins. When she saw me, her expression changed, from sad victim to something calculating, something victorious. She'd been planning this. I could feel it. "Elena, how nice of you to come." Her tone was saccharine, fake, dripping with false sweetness. "Of course I came. It's Dorothy's birthday." "Yes, well, we're so glad you could tear yourself away from your busy, important life to spend time with Marcus's family. I know how precious your time is." There were a few nervous laughs from the cousins. I smiled tightly and moved toward the food table. The party went on. I made small talk, helped serve cake, tried to stay out of Ruth's way, but I could feel something building. Ruth kept looking at me, then whispering to family members. They'd glance at me, then whisper back. They were talking about me, planning something. I kept my phone recording. Around 4 p.m., Ruth clinked her glass to get everyone's attention. "Excuse me, everyone, if I could have your attention for a moment." The room quieted. Marcus's uncle turned off the music. Everyone gathered around. "I know we're here to celebrate my wonderful mother-in-law Dorothy," Ruth began, her voice quavering with practiced emotion, "but I need to discuss something important with my family while we're all together." I felt my stomach drop. This was it. Ruth reached into her purse and pulled out papers, the legal demand letter she'd sent me. As many of you know, I've fallen on very hard times. Through no fault of my own, I've lost my job due to age discrimination. I've lost my apartment. I'm facing homelessness. Sympathetic murmurs from the crowd. I've tried to handle this on my own. I've looked for work, but no one will hire a woman my age. I've applied for assistance, but there's a waiting list. I've done everything I can. Lies. All lies. But the family was eating it up. I've asked my son and his wife for help. Elena owns a large expensive apartment in Capitol Hill, 2 bedrooms over 1,100 square feet worth over $800,000. All eyes turned to me. I kept my face neutral. I've asked her very reasonably, I think, to either sign the apartment over to me, since I'm family and I need it more than she does, or to pay me $2,000 a month so I can afford to rent a modest place, just until I get back on my feet. Gasps, whispers, shocked expressions. She's refused both options. The room erupted. What? That's terrible. Elena, how could you? Your mother-in-law is going to be homeless. That's so cruel. Marcus's aunt Linda stepped forward, her face a mixture of shock and disappointment. Elena, is this true? Ruth came to you for help and you said no. It's not that simple. I started. It's very simple. Ruth cut me off, her voice rising. She has more than enough money and space, but she's chosen to let me suffer because she's selfish and cruel. Because she's never accepted me as family. Because she thinks she's better than all of us. That's not. She made my son sign a prenup so he'd never see a penny of her money. Ruth's voice was getting louder, more dramatic. She holds that apartment over his head every day. She treats him like he's nothing because he's just a teacher and she's some big fancy consultant making all this money. That's not true, I said, my voice rising to be heard over the murmurs. Isn't it? Ruth turned to Marcus, who was standing near the back of the room looking increasingly uncomfortable. Tell them, son, tell them how she makes you feel. Tell them how she reminds you every day that it's her apartment, her money, her everything. Tell them how small she makes you feel. Marcus looked trapped. Everyone was staring at him, waiting. I mean, she does make all the decisions about the apartment, he said quietly. Because it's in her name. See? Ruth pounced on his words like a predator. She makes him feel like a guest in his own home. He's her husband, but he has no say in anything because she holds all the power. And now she won't help his mother when I'm desperate and facing the streets. Marcus's cousin James spoke up, his voice indignant. Elena, I don't understand. If you have a 2-bedroom apartment, and Ruth needs a place to stay, why can't she move in with you, at least temporarily? Because 1 bedroom is my office. I work from home 3 days a week. I need that dedicated space for my job. Surely you could work from the living room for a while, Linda said, her tone suggesting this was obvious. Just until Ruth gets back on her feet. It's been 2 years of Ruth getting back on her feet, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. The issue isn't space. The issue is that Ruth needs to get a job and support herself like an adult. Ruth started crying. Full waterworks, tears streaming down her face, hands trembling. I'm 62 years old. Nobody will hire me. I've tried. I've applied to dozens of places, but they all want younger workers. I'm being discriminated against because of my age, and my own daughter-in-law is punishing me for it. More lies. I knew for a fact Ruth hadn't applied to a single job in 2 years. But I couldn't prove it here now, in front of everyone. You're not being punished, I said, trying to stay calm. You're being asked to take responsibility for yourself. Responsibility? Ruth's voice dripped with bitterness. I took responsibility. For 28 years I raised a child alone. My husband abandoned us and I worked multiple jobs. I sacrificed. I did without so Marcus could have a good life. And now I'm old and used up and hurting and my own daughter-in-law won't lift a finger to help me. The family was turning on me. I could feel it, see it in their faces. Elena, just help her, Marcus's Aunt Sarah said, her voice pleading. You can afford $2,000 a month. We all know you make good money. It's not about whether I can afford it. Then what is it about? James demanded, stepping closer, his face red. Pride? You want to prove you're better than everyone? You want to lord your success over us? No, it's about boundaries. It's about not enabling someone who refuses to help themselves. She can't help herself. Linda's voice was rising now. She's 62 years old. Have some compassion, some human decency. I have given her over $8,000 in the past year, I said, my voice finally rising to match theirs. Electric bills, rent, car repairs, dental work, groceries, credit card payments. I have paid for all of it, and she has never paid me back a single dollar, never even thanked me. She just keeps demanding more. Ruth's tears stopped abruptly. That was barely anything, a drop in the bucket for someone who makes what you make. You're acting like you're some kind of saint for giving me pocket change. $8,000 is not pocket change. It is to you. You make $180,000 a year. You live in an $800,000 apartment. You drive a Tesla. $8,000 is nothing to you. I earned that money. Every single dollar. I worked 80-hour weeks. I fought for every promotion. I sacrificed for years to build my career. That money is mine, because I earned it, and you are not entitled to it just because you're my husband's mother. The room exploded with voices. Everyone talking at once, yelling at me, defending Ruth. How can you be so heartless? What kind of person are you? She's family. Marcus, you need to control your wife. That last comment came from Marcus's Uncle Tom. I turned to Marcus, who'd been standing silently through all of this, his face pale, his eyes on the floor. Marcus, I said, my voice cutting through the chaos. Are you going to say something? Are you going to defend me? Tell them the truth. He looked up at me, then at his mother, then at his family, all staring at him, waiting, judging. The pressure was crushing him. I could see it in his face. Alina, he said slowly, maybe we should reconsider. My blood ran cold. Reconsider what? Maybe the $2,000 a month. We could make it work if we budget differently. We could make it work. You mean I could make it work with my money? His face hardened, anger flashing in his eyes. Here we go, always about your money, your apartment, your everything. Everything's always yours. It is mine, I earned it. And you never let me forget it. He was yelling now, all the resentment Ruth had been planting finally erupting. Every decision, every choice, it's always what you want, because it's your place. I'm just living in your world. Elena, I have no say in anything. That's not true, and you know it. Don't I? When have you ever asked my opinion about anything that actually mattered? It's always this is how it's going to be. Because it's your apartment, your money, your rules? Ruth jumped in, sensing victory. See? This is how she treats him. She emasculates him every single day. She makes him feel worthless because he doesn't make as much money as her. She married him just to have someone to lord her success over. That is not. You think you're so much better than us. Ruth was yelling now, her face red, spittle flying. You with your fancy job and your expensive apartment and your Tesla. Looking down on Marcus and his family. We're not good enough for you. We're just the poor, pathetic Patterson family that you get to feel superior to. That's not true. Then prove it. Ruth shoved the papers at me, her hands shaking with rage, or theatrics or both. Sign over the apartment, or agree to pay me what I need to survive. Show this family you actually care about us. Show us you have a heart. I'm not doing either of those things. The room erupted again, everyone talking at once, yelling, pressuring, attacking. Just help her. Don't be so selfish. It's only money. What kind of woman lets her mother-in-law be homeless? She's heartless. Cold-blooded. Marcus deserves better. I looked around at all these people who had judged me without knowing the full story. Who had taken Ruth's word as gospel without asking for mine. Who thought I owed them something just because I'd worked hard and succeeded. Who thought my success meant I should bankroll their failures. I looked at Marcus, standing there silent, not defending me, letting his family attack me. And something inside me cracked. Not broke, cracked, like a dam before it bursts. I turned to Marcus one final time. My voice was quiet, deadly calm. Are you going to defend me, right now? Or are you going to tell them the truth? That your mother has refused every job for 2 years? That I've already given her thousands? That she's manipulating all of you? Or are you going to stand up for your wife? He was sweating, his face flushed, his eyes darting between me and his family. Elena, you're not being reasonable, he said. She's my mother, she's desperate. We should help family. I'm your wife. And she's my mother, she raised me. She needs help. Why can't you just what? Just give away everything I worked for? Just let her move into my home and disrupt my life? Just pay her $2,000 a month for the rest of her life? If you really loved me, you would help her. Marcus was yelling now, his composure completely gone. If you really cared about me, about us, you'd do this for my family. And if you really loved me, wouldn't ask me to. Maybe I was wrong about you. The words came out hot and fast, like he'd been holding them in for months. Maybe my mother was right. Maybe you are selfish. Maybe you do think you're better than us. Maybe marrying you was a mistake. The room went silent. Marcus looked shocked at his own words. Like he couldn't believe he'd said them out loud. But he had, and now they hung in the air between us. Ruth saw her opportunity. Finally, she said, her voice triumphant. Finally you see her for what she is. She doesn't love you, Marcus. She loves her money, her apartment, her career. You're just an accessory to her, a poor teacher she can feel superior to. I turned to face them both. Is that really what you think? Ruth opened her mouth to respond, but I held up my hand. No. I'm done listening to you. I'm done with your lies and your manipulation and your greed. I turned to the room full of judging faces. I'm not signing over my apartment. I'm not paying Ruth $2,000 a month. The answer is no. To both. Final answer. Ruth started crying harder, louder, more dramatically than before. She wants me on the streets. My own daughter-in-law wants me homeless and starving and dead. The family descended on me with renewed fury. You're horrible. How can you live with yourself? That poor woman. Marcus, don't let her do this. Someone has to stop her. And then Marcus, my husband, the man who'd promised to love and protect me, snapped. His face contorted with rage and humiliation and something darker. Something dangerous. He stepped toward me, his hands clenched into fists, his whole body shaking. How dare you? He screamed, loud enough that the whole room froze. How dare you say no to my mother? You stupid bitch. Time slowed down. I saw him turn to the dining table. I saw him grab a ceramic dinner plate. I saw him raise it above his head. I saw him swing it toward me. I couldn't move, couldn't react, could only watch as the plate came down toward my head. It connected with my skull, with a sound like a gunshot. The ceramic shattered on impact, pieces flying everywhere. Pain exploded through my head. My vision blurred. I stumbled backward, my hand automatically going to my head. When I pulled my hand away, it was covered in blood. The room was completely silent, frozen, 30 people standing in absolute shock staring at me, at the blood running down my face, at Marcus standing there with the broken plate handle still in his hand, his eyes wide with horror at what he'd just done. I steadied myself against the wall. My head was throbbing, but my mind was crystal clear, clearer than it had been in months. I looked at Marcus, at his mother whose mouth was open in shock, at the family who'd spent the past hour attacking me, and I smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who'd been waiting for exactly this moment, who'd been prepared, who'd laid a trap and just watched it spring shut. I touched the blood on my head again, felt the warm wetness, the sting of the cut, and I spoke. My voice was quiet, but it cut through the silence like a knife. You have no idea what I can do. The words hung in the air. Something in my tone, the absolute certainty, the complete lack of fear, the calm promise of destruction, made everyone in that room go pale. Marcus's face went from horrified to terrified. Elena, I didn't mean, I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Oh, you meant it, I said calmly, still touching the blood trickling down my face. You meant every word you said. And you meant to hurt me. You wanted to hurt me. And you did. No, I was just angry. I lost control. I would never. You lost control. I nodded slowly. You lost control and committed assault and battery against your wife. In front of 30 witnesses. The room was deathly silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Marcus dropped the broken plate handle, his hands shaking. Elena, please, I'm sorry. We can talk about this. The time for talking is over. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out my phone, held it up so everyone could see the screen. It was recording, video and audio, had been recording the entire party. I've been recording this whole conversation, I said. Every demand from Ruth, every lie she told, every word of pressure from all of you. Marcus, assaulting me, all of it. Video and audio. Every single second. Gasps, shocked expressions. Ruth's face went white. You can't record us without our permission, she shrieked. That's illegal. You're breaking the law. Washington is a one-party consent state for recording, replied calmly. I only need my own consent to record a conversation I'm part of. And I give it. This recording is completely legal and admissible in court. I looked at Marcus's uncle Tom, who I knew was a police officer. Tom, you're a cop. Assault and battery. What's the penalty? Tom looked sick. Pale. His eyes kept darting between me and Marcus. Alina, let's just calm down and talk about this what's the penalty, Tom? He swallowed hard. Up to a year in jail and a $5,000 fine, for a first offense. And if it's captured on video with 30 witnesses, pretty much a guaranteed conviction. Marcus made a sound like a wounded animal. Elena, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll do anything. Anything? I laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. You'll do anything now. After you assaulted me, after you called me a bitch and smashed a plate over my head. Now you want to make amends? I wasn't done. I reached back into my jacket, my other pocket, and pulled out a manila envelope. These are divorce papers, I said, holding them up. I had them drawn up last week when your mother sent me her legal demand letter. Marcus's face crumpled completely. All the color drained from his skin. What? No. Elena. Please. I knew this was coming. I knew your mother was going to orchestrate something like this. I knew she'd manipulate you and pressure me and create a situation where I'd look like the villain. So I prepared. I pulled out another document from the envelope. This is a restraining order application, already filled out. I just need to file it, against both you and your mother. Ruth was backing away, shaking her head. No, this wasn't supposed to. Wasn't supposed to what, Ruth? Wasn't supposed to have consequences. You thought you could threaten me, pressure me, manipulate your son into attacking me, and there would be no repercussions. I pulled out another document. This is a detailed accounting of every dollar I've given you over the past year. $8,047 total, along with text messages and emails where you explicitly promised to pay me back. You didn't. That's fraud. I can sue you in civil court and win easily. Ruth's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. And this, I pulled out the final document, is your legal demand letter, where you demanded I sign over my apartment or pay you $2,000 a month. Your lawyer will probably be disbarred for sending this, by the way, because it's extortion, demanding money or property under threat. That's literally the definition of extortion. The room was completely silent except for my voice. Everyone frozen. Everyone staring. So here's what's going to happen, I said, my voice still eerily calm despite the blood running down my face, despite the throbbing in my skull. I'm going to leave now. I'm going to drive directly to the police station. I'm going to show them this video. I'm going to file assault charges against Marcus with video evidence and 30 witnesses. I'm going to get a restraining order against both Marcus and Ruth. And I'm going to file for divorce. Elena, please. Marcus reached for me, his hand outstretched, tears streaming down his face. I stepped back, out of his reach. Don't touch me. If you touch me again, I'll add another assault charge. I'm not joking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, we can go to counseling. We can work this out. I'll do whatever you want. What I want, I said coldly, is for you to understand that actions have consequences. You chose your manipulative, greedy mother over your wife. You let her poison you against me. You allowed her to demand my assets, and when I said no, when I exercised my right to protect what I'd earned, you assaulted me. I looked around the room at all of them, at the aunts and uncles and cousins who'd pressured me, at Ruth who'd orchestrated this whole nightmare, at Marcus who'd broken his vows in the worst possible way. All of you participated in this, pressuring me, bullying me, demanding I give away what's mine. You judged me without knowing the full story. You took Ruth's lies at face value without asking for my side. You made me the villain because I refused to be a victim. I paused, making eye contact with each person who'd attacked me. You want to know what kind of person I am? I'm the kind who documents everything, who plans ahead, who protects herself. I'm the kind who doesn't make threats. I make promises, and I keep them. I locked eyes with Ruth. You wanted my apartment. You wanted my money. You wanted to bleed me dry because you're too lazy and entitled to take care of yourself. You manipulated your son, turned him against me, orchestrated this whole scene to humiliate me into submission. Well, congratulations, Ruth. You got nothing, less than nothing. You turned your son into a criminal. You destroyed his marriage. You ruined his life. I hope it was worth it. Ruth was crying, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no guilt, just cold satisfaction. Marcus will probably lose his teaching job after the assault conviction. You'll lose your meal ticket, and you'll still be homeless, because I'm keeping every penny of my money, every square foot of my apartment, and you will never see another dollar from me. I walked toward the door. The crowd parted like I was contagious. No one wanted to be near me. No one wanted to be associated with what had happened. At the door, I turned back one final time. Oh, and Marcus? The prenup we signed? It's ironclad. My lawyer is the best in Seattle. You get nothing in the divorce. Not the apartment, not my savings, not my retirement, not a penny. The only marital asset you might have a claim to is whatever income you earned during our marriage. Good luck living on that. Good luck paying for your mother's care on a teacher's salary, if you even keep your job. I opened the door. Wait, Ruth's voice was desperate, panicked. Elena, please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. I just needed help. Please don't do this, please. I looked at her, this woman who'd tried to destroy me, who'd manipulated her son into violence, who'd orchestrated this entire nightmare for money. You should have thought of that before you tried to take everything from me. I said, actions have consequences, Ruth. Welcome to yours. I walked out of that house, got in my car and drove directly to the police station. My head was throbbing. Blood had soaked into my shirt collar, but I felt clear-headed, powerful, in control. At the station, I walked up to the front desk, still bleeding. I need to file an assault report. My husband attacked me at a family gathering. I have video evidence. The officer on duty took one look at me and called for paramedics. Ma'am, you need medical attention first, then we'll take your statement. I need to file this now, while the evidence is fresh, while the witnesses are still together. Another officer came over. Ma'am, we need to get you to a hospital. You're actively bleeding. I showed them my phone. I have video of my husband assaulting me with a ceramic plate. 30 witnesses, all at this address. I wrote down Linda's house address. The officer's face went hard. We'll send units to that location immediately, but first medical attention, please. They called an ambulance. I was taken to the hospital while police units were dispatched to Linda's house. At the emergency room, I got 7 stitches in my scalp where the plate had split the skin. They did a CT scan to check for skull fracture. There wasn't one, thankfully, just a concussion. Do you have somewhere safe to stay tonight? The nurse asked. You shouldn't be alone with a concussion. And you definitely shouldn't be with your attacker. I'm going home. My home. He won't be there. He's about to be arrested. Are you sure? Completely. They photographed my injury from multiple angles. Documented everything. The doctor gave me a detailed medical report describing the injury, the mechanism, blunt force trauma from ceramic plate, and the treatment. This is clear evidence of assault, she said. I'm required to report this to the authorities. They're already involved. By the time I left the hospital, it was after midnight. I had 7 fresh stitches, a concussion, a bottle of pain pills, and medical documentation of assault. I also had 17 missed calls from Marcus, 12 from Ruth, and countless texts from various family members. I didn't read them. I didn't listen to voicemails. I just blocked them, all of them. I drove home to my apartment and went inside. Changed the locks immediately using a kit I'd bought weeks ago, just in case, set the security system, made myself a cup of tea. Then I sat on my couch and let myself feel it. The betrayal, the violence, the horror of watching my husband raise a plate to hit me. The pain of realizing he'd chosen his mother over me. The exhaustion of fighting a battle I should never have had to fight. I cried. I raged. I let it all out in the privacy of my own home. Then I dried my tears, opened my laptop, and started writing everything down for my lawyer. By morning I had a 15-page document detailing everything. Every dollar I'd given Ruth. Every conversation. Every manipulation. The assault. The video evidence. Everything. I emailed it to Victoria at 6 a.m. She called me at 6:15. Elena, holy shit. Are you okay? 7 stitches and a concussion. But I'm alive. Did you really record the whole thing? Every second. And you have the video? Backed up in 3 places. You're a genius. This is the most open and shut case I've ever seen. He's done, completely done. Good. I'm filing the divorce petition today. With the assault charges and the video, he'll have zero leverage. The prenup is clear. He gets nothing. Perfect. Elena, I know this is hard, but you did everything right. You protected yourself. You have evidence of everything. You're going to be fine. I know. And I did know. Because I'd been preparing for this. Because I'd listened to my instincts. Because I'd documented everything and planned ahead and refused to be a victim. Over the next week the legal wheels turned with brutal efficiency. Marcus was arrested at Linda's house that night. Spent the night in jail. Was arraigned the next day on assault and battery charges. The prosecutor watched the video I'd provided and said it was the clearest evidence of assault she'd ever seen. 30 witnesses, video evidence, medical documentation, she said. He's going to plead guilty. There's no defense for this. Marcus's lawyer tried to argue momentary loss of control due to extreme family pressure and emotional distress. The judge wasn't sympathetic. You assaulted your wife with a weapon, the plate. You caused injury requiring medical treatment. The video clearly shows it was intentional, not accidental. Momentary or not, it's assault. And domestic violence. Marcus pleaded guilty to avoid a trial. He got 6 months in jail, suspended, meaning he'd only serve if he violated probation. 2 years of probation, mandatory anger management and domestic violence counseling, a $5,000 fine, and a permanent domestic violence conviction on his record. That conviction destroyed him. The school district had a zero-tolerance policy for teachers with violent crime convictions. Marcus was terminated immediately. He lost his job, his career, his reputation. The divorce moved forward with devastating speed. Marcus's lawyer tried to argue for some kind of settlement. My client is experiencing significant hardship. He's lost his job due to one mistake. One mistake, Victoria cut him off. Your client assaulted my client with a ceramic plate, causing injury. He called her a stupid bitch in front of his entire family. He pressured her for months to sign over her apartment. That's not one mistake. That's a pattern of escalating abuse. He should get something from the marriage. He signed a prenup. A valid, enforceable prenup. He gets exactly what it says he gets. Nothing. Marcus's lawyer tried everything. Argued the prenup was signed under duress. It wasn't. Argued Elena had undue influence. She didn't. Argued community property laws prenup superseded them. Nothing worked. The judge reviewed the prenup, the assault charges, the video evidence and said simply, the prenup is valid. Mr. Patterson gets nothing. Divorce granted. Marcus got whatever marital income he'd earned during our 3 years of marriage, after taxes and his own spending. It wasn't much. Maybe $15,000 total. I kept everything, my apartment, my savings, my retirement, my car, everything. As for Ruth, she faced her own consequences. I filed a civil suit against her for the $8,047 she owed me. With the text messages and emails where she'd promised to pay me back, it was an easy win. The judge ordered her to pay it back with interest. Ruth had no money. The judgment would follow her forever, destroying any chance of credit, garnishing any future income. She also got evicted from her apartment. With no income and no one willing to give her more money, she had nowhere to go. She ended up moving in with Marcus's aunt Linda. Linda called me 2 weeks in to complain about how unbearable the situation was. Ruth is impossible to live with, she said. She's demanding, ungrateful, expects to be waited on, leaves messes everywhere, criticizes everything I do. I can't believe I felt sorry for her. I can't believe I pressured you. We were so wrong about you, Elena. Yes, you were. Is there any way you and Marcus could work things out? Maybe if... No, absolutely not. Goodbye, Linda. I hung up and blocked her number. 6 months later, I'm thriving. I'm still in my apartment. Still at my job, where I recently got promoted to Director of Digital Transformation with a $40,000 raise. Still driving my Tesla. Still living my best life. My head healed completely. The scar is barely visible, hidden in my hairline. I've been seeing a therapist specializing in domestic violence survivors. It's helping me process the trauma of being assaulted by someone who promised to love me. I've also been dating, nothing serious yet, but I'm open to it. I'm open to love. When I find someone who actually deserves me. Last week I got an email from Marcus's cousin James. Elena, I wanted to reach out and apologize for everything that happened. We were completely wrong about you. Ruth lied to us about so much. Marcus is a disaster now. No job, no money, living with Ruth in Linda's basement, completely miserable. Ruth is impossible, and everyone hates having her around. We all see it now. We're so sorry we didn't listen to you. We're sorry we pressured you. You were right about everything. I hope you can forgive us. I read it 3 times. Then I hit delete and blocked his email. Their apologies mean nothing. They showed me who they were when they attacked me at that party. When they demanded I give away what was mine. When they stood by while Marcus assaulted me. When they took Ruth's lies as truth without question. I don't forgive them. I don't need their apologies. I don't need anything from them. Yesterday, I got a message from an unknown number. It was Marcus, messaging from someone else's phone. Elena, I know you've blocked me everywhere. I'm using a friend's phone to write this. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry for letting my mother manipulate me. I'm sorry for believing her lies. I'm sorry for treating you the way I did. I'm sorry for hitting you. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was too weak to stand up to her. You deserved so much better. I hope someday you can forgive me. I'll understand if you never want to speak to me again. I just needed you to know I'm sorry. I stared at that message for a long time, thinking about the man I'd loved. The man I thought I married. The man who turned into a monster at his mother's manipulation. Part of me, a very small part, felt sad for him, for what he'd lost, for what he'd become, but most of me felt nothing. Because I remembered him calling me a stupid bitch. I remembered him raising that plate. I remembered the crack as it hit my skull. I remembered the blood. I remembered all of it. So I blocked that number too. My husband yelled that I was a stupid bitch at his grandmother's birthday party. He smashed a ceramic plate over my head, cutting my scalp, giving me a concussion, all because I wouldn't give his mother my apartment or pay her $2,000 a month. With blood running down my face, in front of 30 witnesses, I told him, "You have no idea what I can do." Everyone went pale because they heard the truth in my voice. The certainty, the promise. They didn't know I'd been recording everything. They didn't know I had divorce papers already prepared. They didn't know I'd been documenting Ruth's fraud for months. They didn't know I'd been preparing for this exact scenario. When Marcus assaulted me, he didn't just attack his wife. He activated a trap I'd carefully, methodically set. And I destroyed him. Legally, completely, permanently. He lost his freedom, his job, his wife, his future, any claim to my assets. His mother lost her meal ticket. She's stuck living with family who resent her, owing me money she'll never be able to pay. And me? I'm living in my apartment that no one can ever take from me. I'm thriving in my career with a huge promotion. I'm healing from trauma with professional help. I'm dating and open to love. I'm successful, independent, and powerful. Because when someone tries to hurt you, to use you, to destroy you, you have choices. You can be a victim, or you can be prepared. I chose preparation. And preparation, documentation, strategic planning, that's the most powerful weapon of all. They thought I was weak, that I'd submit, that I'd give in to pressure. They were wrong. They thought I was bluffing when I said, "You have no idea what I can do." I wasn't. And now they know exactly what I can do. Everything. I can do everything. And I did. The end.